So yeah, one of the key reasons I was very interested in the Stripe opportunity and doing Treasury after leaving Treasury at Goldman Sachs was looking at the product and the opportunity to support and help so many businesses, large and small, across the globe find better solutions for their currency management, their payments management. And in essence, not only coming to Stripe to work on our internal Treasury solutions and making that best in class and as efficient as possible, but also sitting alongside our product teams and thinking about what are the Treasury solutions that our users might need either today or in the future, particularly as you think about things like open banking, new payment methods growing worldwide, and so many other factors that could really impact businesses, again, large and small. Yeah, I think working very closely with the business has been a great opportunity and trying to vet, problems around, how do we power cross-border payments, right? And some of those restricted currencies or restricted markets. How do we solve problems, as far as, supporting users like Lyft, right? Where, we're doing their payment processing, but also trying to pay all of their drivers. You can imagine that without the technologies that Stripe, has been designing and supporting these businesses, that, users like a Lyft, for example, could otherwise have a quite large treasury function in trying to acquire all of those funds from consumers and ultimately dispersing those funds to their various drivers. So I think it's just a testament to how the technology has just provided so much leverage and efficiency to these businesses, and just overlaying that to our internal processes at Stripe has been one of the key missions of my own. Yeah, I think just, one of the beauties of working with engineers is, we don't really have that translation layer per se, right? It's actually like our treasury finance professionals sitting very closely with our engineers, where you can, explain to them some of the core fundamentals of, for instance, like, you cannot move money out of this currency or this market too readily given XYZ restrictions, right? Or tax implications or otherwise, right? And if you teach, I think, an engineer or anyone those fundamentals, right? Those basic principles, whether you're implementing that in your processes from a manual perspective, if you're a finance professional, or you're implementing that in your processes as an engineer in your code, fundamentally the same thing, just perhaps two different processes or languages, right? But as long as the principles are shared, you get a lot of leverage from that. Data is hard. Is how I would describe it. I think, just trying to, one of the beauties of Stripe is, we have so much transparency into the data, but you can almost potentially drown in data if you don't know how to utilize it or how to implement it. So I think one of our struggles has been, making sure that the data sets are in such a place where we can actually leverage it, we can automate off of it, we can all understand it between finance, engineering, and data science. I think that's an ongoing struggle for many companies, right? Is that we're moving into an era where data is so large, you're moving out of spreadsheets, you're moving into the code base, right? So I think, we had the platforms, we had the right professionals, but again, just, analyzing and interpreting the data is always the trickiest part. Beyond that, I think, just, having the patience to kind of work with these various teams and kind of share, it's a two-way street educationally on how does it work from an engineering perspective, how does it work from a finance perspective, sharing those principles and those best practices. That, of course, was also a time investment as well, but again, I think that's a time investment that has a high ROI and is just going to continue to pay dividends going forward. I think keep an open mind. I would say, don't fear the reaper and don't fear technology more generally. I've gone into some settings where, some treasurers that I've spoken with, say, I don't trust computers, right? And I challenge them on that because, their predecessor probably 30 plus years ago also was scared of Microsoft Excel and VLOOKUPs and macros and all of those fancy things, right? But, I think, adapting and being open-minded to changing, the skill sets and the dynamics of your team, right? Or your approaches to solving these types of problems. At the end of the day, we're not moving barrels of gold. We're actually just, moving numbers, we're moving digits, right? And that can actually be solved through technology, right? We don't need, cranes or machinery to do that, right? And theoretically, if you do it correctly through APIs or otherwise, it can be very real-time in nature, right? And it can be very efficient, right? Which is something I think you'll see everyone evolving to from open banking and otherwise.